Why do the anxious and avoidant attachment styles attract each other? You might have heard of the anxious-avoidant dynamic, or some people call it a trap, where two people with these two different attachment styles in a relationship, they get entangled in a dance of disconnection where one partner is withdrawing and the other partner is pursuing. And the more that the avoidant person feels smothered and they pull away, the more their partner, the anxious one, feels anxiety because they fear they're going to be abandoned. So the anxiously attached person, they crave more connection and closeness, and they're triggered by the avoidant partner pulling away. And meanwhile, the avoidant partner, they're triggered by the anxious partner's desire for closeness because they themselves value their independence and freedom. So people who have been on both sides of this dynamic, like the fearful, also called disorganized style in different relationships, they have been in both of these perspectives. So they describe what it feels like to be in both roles. And they say, in the anxious role, it can feel like this kind of intense agony, like maybe punctuated by moments of bliss. Whereas being in the avoidant role, it feels kind of blah. So this is frustrating and uncomfortable for both parties, as you can imagine. So why does this happen? Why doesn't the anxiously attached person find someone who will give them the love and connection that their heart desires, the intimacy they want without pulling away? And likewise, why doesn't the avoidant partner find someone who will give them their freedom and space and meet them in a way that is comfortable for them? Well, we're all trying to get love, and early childhood experiences shape our idea of what love feels like. So if somebody grew up in a family where there was a lot of emotional or physical abuse, and I'm not saying that's what this dynamic is, but they often will seek out abusive relationships as adults, not because they enjoy being abused, but because their brain has interpreted these dynamics as love. So if a parent tended to pull away or go silent a lot with their child, this got encoded as relationship normalcy as that child got older. So if parents were avoidant, their child might become avoidant themselves as an adult, or they might date avoidant partners to try to reclaim that missing parental affection. Does that make sense? As if they have to earn their love from a partner because that's exactly what they were used to doing with a parent. And the fact that missing love is hard to earn, it just reinforces the anxious person's core belief that love is hard to attain. In a way, our brains are more comfortable with what is familiar than with what is pleasant. We are pattern matching creatures. When our brain recognizes a pattern that's familiar, it can say, oh yeah, recognize that one. And it takes conscious work to break these patterns that have developed over a long period of time. By working through our triggers, we can heal and we can create fulfilling and satisfying relationships that don't involve constantly chasing and being pursued. You might also consider that we attract what helps us to heal from the past. So we're often trying to heal a wound from early childhood, and we unconsciously seek out partners and experiences that help us to do just that. So what's happening here? The anxious partner, they hope that if they just keep on trying, their avoidant partner will open up emotionally. And that inconsistency that they experienced in the past from an attachment figure, it will be soothed because they'll finally feel worthy of love and they won't be afraid of being abandoned. However, their avoidant partner's distance, it triggers their anxiety even more. So it just activates that fear of abandonment. The avoidant partner finds it compelling that somebody's working so hard for their love. They can keep their emotional distance while feeling desired. Often they had caregivers who taught them to be self-reliant and suppress their emotional vulnerability. So they're trying to heal this wound by finding a relationship where they can feel both connected and loved for who they are without sacrificing their autonomy or their freedom. They hope that their anxious partner will respect their need for space, but this pursuit, it just activates their fear of engulfment. So the anxious partner, therefore, becomes very focused on their avoidant partner in a very poignant and painful way. And this focus, it's not returned. So all of this, it plays out within the context of this powerful, immersive, and some even say mind-blowing chemistry. And in fact, we know that those love chemicals can feel as powerful as drugs. Endorphin is short for endogenous morphine. That means you make it in your body. But before you despair that you'll never find someone with chemistry as good as your past anxious or avoidant partners, know that chemistry in a secure functioning relationship, that can be amazing. And most everyone has the capacity to boost their secure attachment. So how do you avoid this anxious-avoidant dynamic? The easiest way to avoid this trap is to avoid dating someone who has an attachment style that's like polar opposite of yours. So if you have an extremely anxious style, dating someone who has an extremely avoidant style is going to be challenging, and vice versa, especially if you're still working on your attachment trauma. And that being said, couples do manage to make relationships work when they have different styles. So how is that even possible? So first, people who make anxious-avoidant relationships work, they're typically very interested in personal growth, or they already have some amount of secure attachment in their attachment makeup, or both. Remember, we're a blend of attachment styles, not typically just one single style. Secondly, those couples make allowances for each other's attachment styles. So the anxious person, they can recognize that their partner has a tendency to pull away, to withdraw when they feel chased, and they can kind of remove some of their excess energy out of that relational field. What's important is to avoid becoming negative or passive aggressive for them. So instead, they can focus on their own projects, their own friends, their own passions, and also on increasing their own sense of self-worth. So they're not trying to get that from their partner. And this gives the avoidant partner a chance to kind of settle their attachment system and prevents that pursuer-distancer dynamic from happening. The anxious partner can also practice self-soothing techniques to calm that underlying fear of abandonment. Meanwhile, the avoidant partner, they can make accommodations by noticing their own withdrawal reactions and working on their underlying triggers. So they can work on understanding their partner's fear of abandonment, recognizing the role that their own withdrawal is playing in that, and noticing that it's contributing to their partner's fear. They can also work on embracing vulnerability and intimacy, so detangling that closeness from a lack of autonomy. Ultimately, as people heal their attachment wounds, many tend to avoid this anxious-avoidant dynamic because it doesn't serve them or contribute to feelings of security and happiness. If you got something out of watching this video, please click subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. And you can also visit me at kayleelarkin.com, where you can find attachment courses and guided meditations and lots of free resources. This is Kaylee Larkin, wishing you a beautiful relational journey.